Welcome to the Lennon family table. It's a nice solid piece of furniture. You're probably saying, oh, it's a nice table. Well, the reason I'm podcasting about it is I actually made this table some years ago now. And I want to explain that, in my opinion, being able to make and restore your own furniture, your own solid pieces of kit that you use in your house is as important as food growing or any other part of self-sufficiency. I'll tell you a little bit about the history of this table, and perhaps that will put this in context. I made it approximately 20 years ago. A local school was knocking down some of its buildings, and they auctioned off, amongst other things, the roof joists. No one else wanted them, so I got them for not a lot. They're very strong pine, probably about 50 years old when I bought it. Nicely dry because it's been in the roof, so it's superb for furniture making. Although it didn't actually start life with me as a table. It was a workbench first. I needed a workbench in my garage, and I just knocked it up out of the timber. Lovely workbench. I used it for a couple of years. Then we came to sell the house, and the workbench was bolted in position, so I couldn't take it with me. And the chap that was buying our house, he didn't look particularly practical. So I thought, he doesn't want this workbench, really. So I smashed it all to bits, and I used the timber from it to make this table. The house we were moving to had a very large kitchen. Our existing table just wouldn't do, so this was a good use for the timber as well. And when I built it, I made it to be fully dismantleable. The top splits into two halves, all the runners come off from the underneath, the legs come off, it dismantles and packs up, because I knew at the time it was going in a lorry. So the table was put together, and we've used it in various houses, like I said, for 20 years. I've taken it apart several times in that time. It's just recently been apart, and it's been in the workshop for a full service. Everything's been sanded down, re-waxed, comes up lovely every time. To sort of put this in context and explain the core of what I'm trying to say, if you buy a table, unless you're rich, you're going to end up with a fairly poor quality piece of furniture. Okay, it might last 20 years, but at the end of that time, the laminate, because they're almost always laminated, is going to wear out. You won't be able to do what I've just done with this one, sand it down, because you'll break the laminate. It's no good. So unless you spend a lot of money on your table, you're not going to end up with as good a piece of kit as this. Just look a little bit at the construction of the table. I said underneath it's been bolted together. It's not so pretty underneath. My father always used to say it's a Queen Anne front and Mary Anne behind. Well, no one looks at the underside of a table. As you can see, it's just fastened together with strips of wood. They also enable it to come apart if you want. You can even take all the top off and adjust them inward if there's been any shrinkage or movement in the timber. This one hasn't, so that's okay. Like I said, it splits into two halves, legs come off, bop, 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 and it comes back together again. This one has been in the workshop for a service. I'll move on to some shots in a minute, taken yesterday, me sanding it down, and then I reassemble it. So to summarise, this table is fairly easy to make, inexpensive to build, and it lasts a lifetime. the issues with handmade furniture, certainly any of mine, when you dismantle it and put it back together, every piece has got to go back in the same place it came out from. That's probably, you're wondering what all the hieroglyphics are drawn across it. Those are marks that I can see how to line everything back up together again. Because if one of these went in the wrong place, the screw holes wouldn't line up, nothing would. That's gone in there quite well. And it's exactly the same applies to these side runners. This one fits here, it came from here. I put numbers on them, you probably see this is number 2. It wouldn't go over there, everything would be wrong. These screws date the project. Don't work so well with electric screwdrivers. See what I mean? The legs fit on the coach bolts. Quite simple. Nice and solid. Over 20 years later, that ain't going anywhere. It's one advantage of doing things yourself, you can choose the grade of materials that you use. In my case, leaving solid or not. Now you're turned over. Easier said than done. That's done with 2 people, this. Okay, if it worked for Pharaoh, it will work for me. That's the thing. Pinch bar underneath, in with wedge 1, leave it a bit further, in with wedge 2. Right, let's give it a go. Just seeing the downside. DIY very substantial furniture. So it doubles as a pull-out shelter. Right, now, nothing can go wrong. Can it? Actually it can. You need the wedges again. Slippery floor, it's the trouble. Talk amongst yourselves for a minute. Wedge under, wedge under. my sockets now. Right. So that's the sanded and reassembled table. Let's have a quick zoom in. She's not bad, is she, really, for an old girl? Started life as a set of rafters in a school down the road. So, yeah, these trees are probably growing 80 years ago. Can't remember what the timber cost me at auction now. I've got the figure 20 quid in my head. Sounds about right. Had another tenner at the time for bolts. Probably equates to about £60 in today's money. But not bad there. We've had 10 people around this one. And there was still room. Done all sorts on it. Kids' homework. That's why I got the trick of sanding it down every now and again, because they inevitably end up doing long multiplication or something on the tabletop. Well, it sands down again. Each time after I've sanded it, I give it a couple of coats of wax polish. That's the stuff. Going to apply it now. Don't ever put varnish on natural wood like this. Absolute sin. Waxing is fairly straightforward. Just rub it in.